What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Peter-Patzer Not Blunders rating climb. We're 839. I'm jumping into a game. Let's play e4, and I am going to try to play some aggressive chess here. Okay, I think an interesting gambit to play against this. I like to play d4, but I'm going to play a different one. I'm going to play knight f3. This is called the Tennyson Gambit. And the interesting thing about this is you could get this from playing knight f3, d5, e4, or like we got it, e4, d5, knight f3. But it's the same thing. Now, why are we giving up this pawn for free? Well, we're going to jump our knight over here, and we're basically threatening to just take it back. Now, black has a couple of ways to defend. Aha, they go with the pawn. Now, this is not a good move, but it seems kind of logical, especially for an 800 rated player. You move your pawn, it's very well defended. Now there's not going to be a way for my knight to easily take that, right? But what does this pawn move do to black's position in a negative way? Well, you've opened up this diagonal and you've opened up this diagonal. These are long-term weaknesses. Remember, pawns can never go backwards, so you can never fix these weaknesses. So as the game plays out over the next several moves, I'm going to be constantly looking for opportunities to take advantage of this. And I'm going to actually start right away with bishop c4, lining up on this weak diagonal. And we do have an immediate threat of jumping in with our knight. Even the bishop would be pretty good because the bishop would force the king to run, which is obviously bad for the opponent. Ooh, and they don't stop us. So I actually, I have a tough decision now because on one hand, I would like to get a fork. On the other hand, I would really love to force the king out to d7, where it's probably going to get checkmated. So let's think this through. If we go here, the queen's going to move somewhere. Let's say the queen moves to d4. You say, okay, I take the rook. He takes my bishop. Is that a good position for me or not? Well, if you had a chance to think about that, the answer is no. It's not a good position for me. Why? Because I already lost my bishop. My knight is now stuck in the corner. I can't go here and I can't go here, which means I'm probably going to lose that knight eventually to the bishop. And when that happens, I've essentially gotten a rook for a knight and a bishop. Remember, that's not a good trade. We don't want to give up our knight and bishop for a rook and a pawn, or in this case, we don't even get a pawn. We just get a rook. It's not a good trade. So even though it looks cool, oh, I get a fork, oh, that's awesome. No, I don't think that's the way. But this move, this is super annoying for black. Why? Remember, in chess, when you move your king, you can't castle. So the king, castling is an ability that's very underrated for beginners. They don't understand why it's so powerful. You get to move your king 2 spaces at the exact same time and put your rook into a better location when you castle, right? Which is very powerful, especially if you leave a wall of pawns. It's a very safe place for your king, and then your rook is like immediately into the game. It's a good move, okay? You can't do it now if you're black. And by the way, your king is blocking your queen from coming out. It's blocking the bishop from coming out, sorry. It's blocking the knight from going here. And I'm probably going to play d3, and then look at this. My queen is now about to checkmate it, okay? Not to mention, I have another move. If you guys want to pause, there's a very powerful move here, which I might actually play instead of d3. What do you think it is? All right, well, if you remember, I said the king was blocking the queen, so the queen can't go that way. The queen can't go here, so what does that mean? The queen is actually trapped. If only I could attack the queen. If only there was a way. Oh, wait a second. Knight to e6. We just trapped the queen, guys. I wasn't even like planning that when I played the bishop there. I was just planning on getting the king and checkmating it. But now I'm like noticing like, yeah, there's a free queen. So we're going to just take that. So you can just see, going back to here, f5, just not a good move. Right? Now, of course, black didn't stop our threat, which was also not a good move, but just trying to defend the pawn, it's just not good, right? So Tennyson Gambit, very dangerous, especially if your opponent doesn't know how to respond, and we will be taking their queen off the board next move. But I mean, the thing is, even if I didn't have a queen trap for whatever reason, I would still have an amazing position because I could play d3. And once I trade this off and my queen is coming after your king, then black's in trouble, right? But, of course, a queen is pretty nice, and so I think I will take it. Now, I could actually wait and play d3 first because it's not going anywhere. It is stuck. And actually, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to play d3. And the reason is, as soon as I take, yeah, I get the queen. That's obviously very good. But it also lets black's pieces out. And then the game goes on, and, I'm probably going to win because I have a queen. But still, it's not going anywhere. Why not play d3? Because if I can do this, check, force the king over, now I can take the queen for free, and the king is still on the run, and I'm probably going to checkmate it. Okay, so now he finally makes a threat for the queen to escape. However, this is check. I'm going to do it. Why? He doesn't have time to save his queen if he's in check, right? So check, and you will notice you can't go there, you can't go there because your pawn, you can't go there. You can't stay there. There's only one legal move. Knight d5, only move on the board. So we almost had a checkmate. And I think after the knight goes to d5, now it's finally going to be time to take the queen. Because if I don't take it now, it's going to come out here and get away. We don't want to let the queen get away. But you can see how by me throwing in these moves, not only am I getting a queen, now I'm also going to be getting a knight, right? Because it's pinned here to the king, and we're threatening with the pawn. So it's even better for me. So I think that that's what we're going to do. Let me see if there's anything better. I could bring this bishop out, but I don't know. A free knight is pretty good. So let's just take the free knight. And I'm still thinking about checkmating this king. If I can get my bishop on f4, it takes away the escape square here, the escape square here. Once we take here, that's almost checkmate. Yeah, so I think bishop f4 is probably a good move. You know what? There might be an even better move. Okay, this is a good moment to pause the video, guys, and think about a weakness in black's position that we could potentially take advantage of. Okay, hopefully you identified this rook. This rook is undefended. This rook cannot move because we take it. So if we could attack the rook, that would probably be pretty powerful. How about queen to d4? And guess what? The rook is not able to save itself. You could try to block, but I could just take that either way, en passant, or even just with the queen. You could try to block, but I just take it. And so we're basically either winning the bishop or winning the rook. And actually, even if they go here, it doesn't save the rook. It's still trapped, right? Because we're attacking all these squares. So black's position is really falling apart. And yeah, there's just no good moves for them in this position. There's nothing to do. Tennyson Gambit's a very tricky opening, though, especially at these rating levels. So if you are rated 800, you might want to check it out. I have a video on my channel about it. It's for Chess Vibes Academy members, which is like the tiered, if you want to pay to support the channel on YouTube, there's a level, and it has like special opening videos. The Tennyson Gambit is one of them. But even if, you just look up some other videos or whatever, like you could just start playing it. It's pretty fun. Okay, he does resign. Okay. And so let's see, how did we do? I think we did pretty well that game. Let's see what Stockfish says. Okay, so 89. Yep, so pretty good. And it didn't like the Tennyson Gambit, but that's fine. Bishop c4. Yeah, bishop f7 check is the best move. And knight e6 is the best because it traps the queen. Let's see. Yeah, and Stockfish agrees with me here, okay? It shows knight takes d8 is an okay move, but the best move is d3. And then taking. Yeah, and then we take. Yeah, exactly. And now queen d4. Oh, actually even here, queen d4 is the best move. Look at that. Because you can hit the rook right away, although this is a close second. Okay, and then there's queen d4. All right, let's go to the next game. We get the white pieces again. Let's play e4 again and see what's going to happen. Okay, this time we get e5. So another gambit that I've been looking at recently, and I used to play this a lot, and I'll play it here, is the King's Gambit. Now, if you remember from the last game I just said, when we play a move like this, we're opening up these diagonals, okay? So we have to pay attention to things like this. When you play the King's Gambit, the first thing you want to remember is knight goes on f3 to stop the queen from coming here. Queen e7, very strange move, and I'll tell you why it's a strange move. It's strange because you're blocking your bishop, and whenever you do that, you're basically making it much harder to develop in the future, because now you can't just quickly move your bishop out. You have to waste time moving your queen and then move your bishop. Well, if you can't move your bishop out, you can't castle that way, and if you can't castle that way, your rook can't come into the game, so you're kind of clogging up all of these pieces by playing a move like this. Now, there are openings where you have to do it because you need the queen there for some particular reason, but in this case, I don't think that that's very smart for black. And so I'm going to simply develop and defend. And, I'm not blocking in any of my pieces, so I can very quickly go bishop here, castle, and I'm pretty happy. Okay, now that's an interesting move. So he's basically saying, you can't take me here because you're pinned. And if you take me here, I'm going to take you with the fork. Okay, that's interesting. So I have quite a few options, so let's talk through them one by one. Option number one could be to take it anyway, let him get the fork, and then play queen e2, because when I play queen e2, I actually pin the queen to the king. Okay, so we do save our knight, and we force a queen trade. I think I like that position because my knight is very aggressive there, threatening this fork in the center, and after like takes, we can play d4, we take this back, we can castle either way, and even though we're kind of going into an endgame, I think it's a good one for us. So that would definitely be a move I would consider, knight d5. The other thing that I could do is push by and say, okay, look, let's just push. Now I'm threatening to take this with my knight. Probably going to play d4 next, take here. Totally different type of position, but I could probably do that. The other thing that might not be as crazy as it looks would be something like bishop check. And if they block with the pawn, actually castling and sacrificing my bishop, the idea being that then my knight or my pawn can jump in and my rook can swing over and we attack the king this way. That's kind of a little bit wild, sacrificing the bishop, but I could see that leading to some dangerous positions for... Yeah, let me do it, actually. I want to illustrate something really important to you guys. Pieces in chess, like, yes, you don't want to blunder pieces, but if you're getting a significant thing in return for the piece, it's okay to give up a piece, right? So let's do it. This will be instructive. Let's go check. So what am I getting? Let's say, I hope he plays c6. I hope he plays c6 here. What am I getting by giving up this piece? Perfect. I'm getting my king out of the center. And more importantly, I'm getting this threat of taking here and playing rook e1, which is not that easy for black to deal with. It's really not. I also could take here, which is also very interesting as well, because now you have to deal with the queen, and you have to also deal with this threat. Once I play d4, my bishop's coming, and you have to deal with that as well. So this is a tough situation. Which one is better? I think this is maybe more powerful. So I'm going to do this. So you say, okay, Nelson, you gave up your bishop, but look at this. I have two pieces out. I have this threat, and black has no pieces out, right? And so as long as you're getting this stuff in return, it's okay to give up a piece. My position is fine. Now, I'm not saying that I would win against Stockfish. Stockfish is going to find like all the perfect moves, but nobody is Stockfish unless they're cheating, right? So we're going to play d4. Why? We have to get out of the check, but I want to, whenever you play, this is really important. Whenever you play an opening like the King's Gambit and you start sacrificing pieces, the important thing is that you keep up the pressure at all costs, every single move. You cannot slow down. So I'm not going to play a move like King h1 when I have a much more aggressive move that puts pressure on my opponent and doesn't give them time to develop. Do not give them time to develop. That is super important, okay? So d4 is a really powerful move because it hits the queen and it lets out my bishop. And I'm going to be having a lot of pieces attacking this king very soon. I'm really looking forward to playing rook e1 here to get to the king. But I'm also thinking about knight b5, bishop f4, and we have some targets here for the knight to jump in, as well as the pawn could push forward. Okay, so I have two moves. Which one is more... which one stops my opponent from developing probably the most? I would say knight b5. Because rook e1, they're going to be able to develop a piece and block, right? This one, they can't develop a piece. It's hitting the queen. Now, am I losing my pawn? What do you guys think? The answer is no. This is a very common tactic when you have a knight jumping to b5 or d5. If something moves like this, usually the fork is going to defend it. Okay, and that's a beautiful triple fork there. So the queen cannot take. So I'm gaining even more time. And this was a move I had talked about earlier anyway, wanting to do to set up some tactics here, right? So you can just see how all these moves are happening one after the other after the other. So sacrificing that bishop doesn't seem so bad anymore, right? Even though I'm down a piece, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So obviously our knight is under attack. I could move it. I could defend it. But what I would really like to do is see if there's a way to put the pressure on the king. So for example, rook e1 check is the first move that comes to my mind. I'm also going to consider queen e2 check because it does defend the knight and attack, which is kind of nice. Get a bonus there. So let's think this through. If I play rook e1 check, what is black most likely to do? Well, they could move their king away. Then I have to see, okay, do I have any follow-ups? Maybe the bishop comes out, but then I am losing my knight, so I'm not sure if I want to give up that knight. They could also block with the bishop, but if they block with the bishop, I think I'm pretty happy. I push the pawn, I'm probably going to take this. Even if I lose the knight, it's probably okay. So rook e1 check seems reasonable. Queen e2 check, very similar ideas, Except if they play something like king d8, well, now I don't have to worry about my knight getting captured. So I could play bishop f4 and just immediately keep the pressure up. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. So I think I am going to go with queen e2. Remember, speed. I want to get as much done as possible as quickly as I can without giving time for my opponent, right? So I'm creating a threat, but at the same time, I'm dealing with their threat and getting ready for my next move to keep attacking. Okay, you guys see how this works? So queen e2 check, and we might play d6 and win a piece, or if they go here, we'll have to see how we're going to keep attacking. I have a couple of ideas in mind. Okay, they do go king d8, which is smart, I think, because if you would have blocked with a piece, right, I would have just played d6 and taken it. Okay, so they go king d8. Okay, remember, the king is now stuck in the center. That's really good information. We know it's not going to be able to castle and get away from us, so that's good. So bishop f4 seems very good because we have a threat here, which is very good. But also we could play d6 to threaten that, which is also very good. It kind of like keeps these pieces in. Although I guess they could just take it. Never mind. So I don't think we're going to play d6. Okay, so I like bishop f4. There's also one more move that looks very good to me. What do you guys think I'm thinking of? All right, if you had a chance to look at that, the move is knight e5. And again, it follows that same principle of I'm not giving them a moment to breathe, right? Knight e5, you have to move your queen again. You don't get to develop your pieces, and I create another threat. So now I have threats all over the place. Maybe I take with the rook or the bishop. So which one is better is kind of the question. So if I go there, let me just ask the question, where does the queen move to? I guess it takes my pawn. And then I can't take that just yet. I could play c4, though, and keep attacking it. If it goes here, I could play d5 and keep attacking it. So that looks very good. Bishop f4 looks very... I mean, I don't know, guys. They both look so good. I don't know if it actually matters which one I do first. Let's go with knight e5. Just feels good. It just feels normal, natural. Hit the queen. Everything is defended. Like I said, if they go here, we can just keep attacking, keep throwing pieces forward. Don't even give them a moment to develop their pieces, right? That's the main thing when you're playing like an opening like the King's Gambit. Keep the pressure up. Keep attacking. You have to be able to come up with these moves that keep the pressure up. Of course, I'm not saying that like they can never get a developing move in, but you know, if you have an opportunity to stop them, like you go for it. Okay, for example, d6. Keep the pressure up. Don't give them a moment to stop. So that could be one. Rook f4 or bishop f4 could be another idea. Rook f4 attacks here. That might be easy to deal with f6 though. So yeah, I think d6 is very powerful because I'm threatening knight c7 next. Let's do it. Same thing, right? Just keep the pressure up. I keep attacking the queen. And they have, I mean, their last like 5 moves have been queen moves with the exception of the king, right? They move the queen, they move the queen, they move the queen, they move the king, they move the queen, they move the queen, or they're going to move the queen again. Because these pieces are not effective. And I know I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but you have to understand this if you're going to play aggressive chess openings. These pieces are not effective as long as they're in the back rank. So if we can keep that, it doesn't matter that I'm down a piece. I'm going to be winning. I promise you, Stockfish says this is a winning position for white. I promise you. It's probably winning for several moves prior, actually. Most likely, like right here, Stockfish said black is better, but only if they play like some very precise, exact Stockfish moves. And then after they played some inaccuracies and allowed me to gain some time, I think now they're just losing. But we'll see what Stockfish says. Okay, so we could attack it again with rook f4, which is what I'm leaning towards, because then we get this follow-up. This is also an option, but I would like to get... Whenever I have a choice between using a piece that's already in the attack or bringing a new piece into the attack, and they both look pretty good, I am always going to default to bring a new piece in. Okay? It's almost always the better move. We can check with Stockfish, but really I'm probably going to get a rook here, and I'm probably going to get a rook here. But this way brings in a new piece with the tempo on the queen. So that seems like the better way to do it. Okay? So, I mean, this is like how many moves in a row we were just attacking the queen? Every single move, right? This is why there's a principle in chess, don't bring out your queen so early, which black decided to break on move 3. Right? It's usually not a good strategy. Since the queen is a high-value piece, you constantly have to move it around if anything attacks it. And that's the problem black is having here. So yeah, it looks to me like Wow. Are we going to take with the knight or the rook? Because are we going to play knight here? Are we going to play something else? Like, we have so many good moves here. I like this one because it's check, so it forces the king to move. And then, do we have like a checkmate? It depends where the queen's going to go, right? Because we might have a checkmate. Maybe the queen's going to come over here. And then we can sneak in. Okay, he goes there. Interesting. So let's see. If we do take check, king goes up. Do we have a checkmate? Okay, so check, king goes here. I mean, I could even just go back. I could even just go back and then try to take this, which also looks pretty good. I could go for this fork right now and then take this one. I mean, there's so many good moves. It's like, okay. Check. So where's the king? The king would have to go either here or here. You can't go there because you get forks. So you have to go here. But then I could take this with check. And that, yeah, that, wow. This looks really good, but I think this is actually just better. So we're going to take with check and then just go back. And basically all I'm doing is removing the pawn with checks on the king, which opens up the rook to come in and finish off the game. Okay, he sacks the queen. All right, fine, but now we win the queen. And we still have big threats of knight coming in. Okay, there's a free piece and probably going to lead to checkmate. Yes, I see the checkmate. If you guys would like to pause, find the forced mate. Good practice working on your tactics. There's probably multiple mates. I mean, there's bishop g5, which looks good, but the cleanest and the fastest that I see is taking here, followed by queen e8. Okay, because the knight is controlling these squares. This is a common pattern when these squares are controlled. Sometimes it could be with a piece. Sometimes black pieces are sitting there, like maybe there's black pawns here. But if you get the queen on the diagonal, it's always going to be checkmate. Okay, let's check the game review there. This will be 58 wins for the rating climb. Okay, 86, not too bad. So let's see what is Stockfish, and I assume this little dip is when I sacrificed my piece. Let's see if that's correct. So queen e7, yeah, Stockfish says it's not the best move. Knight c3, d5. Okay, bishop b5. Yeah, so Stockfish says no, this is not the way. But that's because, see, even here, Stockfish says no, you don't take this. You take here first. And then if I take, now you take. I don't exactly know why. I was probably going to play rook e1. And then you block with the bishop, you know, and black is going to be holding on and black has an advantage. But, I mean, what kind of human is going to just come up with this idea just on the spot, right? Like, probably not very many. Maybe some grandmaster would, right? But after this, yep, immediately one move and the advantage is back to me, right? So that's why you can play these things, because they have to play these like perfectly accurate moves. They have to go queen d8. And then if I play rook e1 check, they have to play like very precise. They have to play bishop e7, only move. They play anything else, they're in trouble. After knight takes b5, they have to play a6, right? After here, like they have to play these certain moves. And if they don't, you're just going to have an advantage, which is what we saw. Right? They played queen c5. It's a mistake because now I get to attack the queen. I get to attack the queen. Queen e2 check was the best move. Okay, Stockfish liked bishop f4 a little bit more than knight e5. But still, this is very good. Yeah, rook f4, knight f7. Yeah, and there's the checkmate. Okay. Very good. Let's go to the next game. These have been some instructive games for attacking. Very good. d4. Okay, so against d4, I'm going to play knight f6. And if we see c4, I will play the Budapest Gambit. Okay, we don't get a chance. He plays knight c3. I was going to say, the Budapest Gambit is just like the Tennyson Gambit, except with black. The only difference is that white gets that free pawn move, but it's not very significant in a lot of cases. So just something to keep in mind. But against knight c3, I don't think this really makes as much sense. It's not going to be as good. So against this, we'll just play d5. We'll just get a pawn in the center. We won't let him get e4 very easily. And this is something you do want to pay attention to, because if you're not paying attention, this can cause you problems. So I'm going to play the move a6. And you know, usually, if you're playing an opening like the King's Gambit, you want to be developing your pieces as fast as you can, right? Because every move matters. In a d4 opening, a lot of times you have a little bit more time. They're not quite as fast-paced as the King's Gambit. So I can get away with playing a move like this, and it's going to be just fine, because I controlled some key square that stops my opponent's threats. Okay, but you have to understand what type of opening you're playing. Are you playing in a King's Gambit, aggressive Gambit, where every move matters? Or are you playing in like a positional, like slower game, like a Queen Pawn opening, where it's like, okay, I have some time, I can sort of, take my time with this, right? So let's bring out this bishop. I'll put it here and attack the queen. And I want to get my pawn up and get this bishop out, but I don't want to trap this guy here. So that's why I'm going for this. And of course, they could play f3, but that's usually where the knight needs to go. So if they play, okay, they do. If they play f3, now the knight can't go there, which I'm pretty happy about. So I will drop back. Okay. So yes, you can do that, but you're creating these permanent weaknesses. So I'm just going to keep that in the back of my mind. Like, okay, maybe I'm going to have an opportunity here. All right, let's go back. h4. Wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like, okay, white gets some tempo, they get some space, but now their king side is totally not safe for the king. The king's probably going to have to go this way. All right, what's the risk in my position if I don't do anything? Hopefully you said my bishop is about to get trapped. So there's two ways you can respond to this. You can respond h6 or h5 usually. It depends on what you are going for. h6, they can play h5 and then my bishop gets tucked back here, which is fine. h5 is a little bit more aggressive. Then they're going to play g5 and force my knight to go somewhere. And I have to decide am I okay with that or not. So let's think about this. Here, where's my knight going to go? Well, I could go to h7 and then try to play like f6. Or most likely I would just go all the way back and reroute it around this way. And I think that's what I'm going to do. And remember, this is a slower paced game. So it's not the end of the world that I'm going to go back here. Now, why am I not going to d7? You guys should be able to tell me. It's correct. I don't want to lose this pawn for free because I'd be blocking my queen. So we're going back here. And e6. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty good from white. If I leave it sit there and they take me, I'm going to be in trouble. Because if you ever have to take back like this is an extremely weak pawn on g6. It's easy for them to attack it. It's hard for me to defend it. So to avoid that, I'm going to take. Okay, great. They take back. Let's see, are they threatening anything? No, they still can't attack here, so we're good with that. They could push this, and so maybe I want to stop that with g6. The problem is I don't think that I like this bishop coming in here. So I think I'll let him push, and I'll just push by if I need to. Not a big deal. So let's play e6 to get the bishop out. And I think we're doing okay. Yeah, they castle queenside. Probably a pretty good move. So bishop d6, just to potentially trade off the bishops, I think makes sense. So let's do that. I'm just developing, and I wanted to get my knight to e7, but I didn't want to block my bishop. So that's why we go with the bishop here, so that the knight can come to e7 and reroute to f5. This is a common idea, actually. When somebody chases your knight, sorry, let me go back. This is important. When somebody chases your knight like this, and you're forced backwards, it's not always the end of the world, because you'll notice that when this pawn moves forward, it opens up this square, because the pawn can no longer control it, right? So what I am trying to do is get to a position where now I can take advantage of that by jumping my knight into that square. Now, of course, there's still the e4 pawn we have to worry about, but this could be a very nice outpost at some point in the future, because I'm going to be hitting some very nice targets, okay? That's a good move. Because if I take, he's going to replace it with the knight. So I don't think I'm going to take just yet. I think we bring the other knight out. And you will notice, I am behind in development a little bit because I, played a6. But it's not obvious how white can take advantage of that. I mean, yes, they're already developed and castled, and maybe they're going to start attacking in the center. But I'm only like 1 or 2 moves away from castling, and it's, like I said, it's not clear and obvious that I'm in a bad position by wasting some time doing this. If you play a King's Gambit opening and you play moves like that, it becomes much more problematic for your position, okay? I think our opponent's playing some good moves, though. I don't think they've made any mistakes so far. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now. Opening is kind of over. Now is usually when mistakes start to show up. But let's see. Yeah, they're playing very good chess. They have a solid position. I think we need to get this knight out, so I'm thinking we just go knight c6 and try to put our queen and get ready to castle one way or the other. I mean, I could play knight f5 and attack this pawn. I'm not sure if that's the best plan. I think it's more important that we get a piece developed. So I'm going to go here. especially because it looks like white's getting ready to bust open the center here. And I want to make sure I have some pieces out before that happens. So, knight c6. Okay, he does take me. Now, this is an interesting decision. Usually I would take with the queen just to keep my pawns looking nice, but this is not the end of the world. In fact, it does open up the c-file, which could be a nice avenue to attack the king. Also, sometimes getting control of this e5 square is really nice with the pawn. In this case, not so much. There's no knight that can go there. I don't think that's a big deal. But let's see. He's going to probably play e4, most likely. So if my queen is here and he plays e4, what's my move going to be? I'm not sure if I'm going to take or if I'm just going to leave it and castle. Yeah, I think I would like the option to castle quickly. So let's take with the queen, because now I can get my king over here to safety right away. This way seems not as safe, right? We've already pushed this pawn. White has some pawns that are very close. That seems a little bit risky. I kind of think the king is going to be safer here. That being said, if we want to get crazy and attack white, maybe we do castle this way and then we throw these pawns forward. He's just given me a target here, so that is something to think about. But the knight coming to f4, I mean, I could play g6, but if this, at least you can't actually sacrifice there. Okay, maybe it's not as scary as I think it is. Maybe it's not. So maybe I will castle this way. But it's important that you do think this through, right? You do have to think this through. But I will go ahead and we'll kind of be aggressive here. Okay, so he pushes on e4. That's fine. I think we'll just leave it alone. If he takes, I can take back. If he pushes, I can just move my queen. Not a big deal. I think we go with the counterattack. We're threatening b4. This is why a3 was not really a good move. Because if you imagine if this pawn was back one square and I push, he can just simply move his knight away. And then I still have a question of, okay, how am I going to break through? But because the pawn is on a3, when I go here, if you just move your knight now, I actually can trade these pawns. Why is trading pawns such a good thing? Because it opens up the file for my rook. That is the primary goal. When you're doing a pawn storm, a lot of people don't realize this. One of the primary goals is to remove the pawns so that your rooks are more effective and can attack. They can't go through pawns, right? So, okay, he pushes. I don't think I have a lot of options. I probably just have to retreat. Yeah, let's just go back. I mean, I could have sacked, but why would I do that? I don't think that makes sense. So yeah, we just go back. He jumps in. Okay, so I'm going to play g6. And obviously, I don't want to lose this pawn. But you will notice, it's going to be very difficult now for white to attack my king because he has no way to remove the pawns. The pawns actually shield my king from his rooks. Even if he has two rooks here and a queen, they can't get through, right? I, on the other hand, am going to play here. I'm going to trade this off, and guess what? My rooks are coming through. I'm getting to the king. You see the difference? So that's what I was trying to kind of figure out earlier when I decided to castle here. Like, does white have a way to bust through? And initially, I thought he's going to go here, attack me, and then he's going to maybe sack. But then I realized, like, no, my knight and my pawn are defending. He can't actually do that. And so here we are, kind of what I was thinking ahead of time, but it looks pretty good. It looks like I'm safe. Even if he moves his knight and pushes his pawn, yeah, it looks like what he's going to do. I'm just going to take it, or take it. So I really don't see a way for white to do anything. In the meantime, you know what I'm going to do, right, guys? b4. Here we go. We are going to force the issue. We're going to open up the king, and then we're going to bring the rooks and the queen over, and we're going to checkmate it. Okay? And you can see a3 was a big mistake. Okay? We're going to take. We want that pawn gone, right? So we absolutely are going to take, and then here we go. I'm going to bring this rook over because I want both rooks on the queen side to attack. I could also play knight b4 at some point. Maybe now is the time, and then the queen can come over somewhere. Or maybe we just do a rook lift like this and double up. I mean, there's lots of ways to do it. Let's see what white's going to do, and then we'll decide. Also, oh, here we go. Do you guys remember way, way earlier in the game? I'm going to take you there. When this happened, remember this? I said, watch out for this square for my knight. Even though we're going backwards now, we're kind of like setting up maybe to go here in the future. You guys remember that? Look at the position now. This pawn has been pushed. This pawn has been pushed, which means you can no longer control this with a pawn if you are white. Which means my knight going to f5 is going to be a monster. Attacking this, attacking this. Okay, now he can trade with me, so I might not go there just now. But if this knight ever moves away and my knight gets to f5, this guy is a beast, right? You can see that. Okay. So is he attacking anything? Not really. This is defended. I mean, this doesn't do anything. Yeah, we're fine. So I think knight b4. Let's just get the knight forward. And primarily, it opens up opportunities for my queen. And maybe even the c-pawn if I want to potentially open up here too. But I'm going to do that. And then I think I might bring the queen up. Let's see where he goes first. Let's see where he goes. We could also push this pawn. Like, we have a lot of ways to do this. Of course, queen c3 is a blunder. We have a fork, so you can't go there. He goes to b3. Okay, so it doesn't quite work. I have two checks. But the problem is the queen would be able to take my knight on both of those squares, right? And get away from the attack from the rook. It doesn't quite work. Almost. Yeah, I think I will just push this pawn forward and go here to take away that square from the queen. And then see what opportunities open up. You'll also notice that every time I move this pawn forward, my rook gets a little bit more control over the board, right? Extra squares that it can move to. So I think that's helpful. And if this knight ever moves, then we can push it again and even open up this file as well. So getting that pawn up there is probably valuable. And I don't have to rush. This is one of those interesting situations where my opponent's attack is totally fizzled out. There is nothing happening here that I have to worry about. So I can just take my time. I can maneuver as much as I want, get everything in just the right position, and then look for some tactic to win the game. You don't always have that luxury when you're attacking. Sometimes you are on a clock. If your opponent has a strong attack, sometimes you are forced to make something happen right away. But in my case, I don't have to, and he just actually makes the blunder that we just talked about. You guys remember. There's a fork. Okay, so our opponent was playing pretty well, and then kind of fell apart when their attack failed. They didn't really know what to do. Now they're getting forked. And let's see if they're going to resign or play on. Okay, they're going to play on. That's a really bad move because they walk into a pin. So they actually get forked again by the same knight. And there's the resignation. Okay, so yeah, good game to the opponent. That was a tough one. They played the opening very well, though. I will say. Just kind of fell apart when we... Okay, I played a good game. Yeah, they played 81. I mean, that is very solid for an 800 rated player. But we played with 94. And... yeah, you could just see... let me actually see. Yeah, Stockfish likes to move a6 here. Okay, it's one of those things where because this is such a powerful threat, it's okay. It's an exception. It's okay to play this random pawn move to take away that from our opponent. Okay? All right, let's go to the next game. Peter-Patzer's white again. Let's play e4. And, okay, Sicilian. So, there is... to play aggressive against this, let's see, what are we going to do? Let's try a Grand Prix attack. So the Grand Prix attack is knight to c3. Most people are playing knight f3 and d4. Grand Prix attack, you're going to go like this. And I am going to bring out the bishop early. But my plan is going to be to probably trade this off and then play f4. And you're going to see why. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take this. And the knight can be very annoying when it jumps into d4 later. So just getting rid of it is kind of nice. It just simplifies things for us. We don't have to think about it. And this is going to be a pretty good position for us. So we're going to play f4 now. For the Grand Prix attack, the setup is you put your knight on c3, you push your pawn to f4. This knight is going to go behind. This pawn is going to go to d3. We're going to castle. And then when black castles, we attack. Okay, we're going to attack on the king side. Okay, this is not a good move, I don't think, because your bishop is stuck. You probably should have tried to get that into the game. But let's just play knight f3. This bishop looks very bad now. I mean, maybe their plan is to put it here or something, but I can see that this bishop is not going to be very good this game. And my bishop is already traded off. So when I play my pawns on the light squares, it doesn't really hurt me. Okay, so we're going to play d3. We're going to castle. Queen b6. Okay. So castling, there's check, and we just move. Not a big deal. I can also play d3 first. But I think I'll just go ahead and castle. And this is very common when you play your f-pawn forward. If somebody puts you in check, just slide over. and your king is usually pretty safe. Now, there's one thing that we will need to talk about maybe if the knight jumps to g4, and that's that this f2 square is potentially a risk. I'm going to show you guys an easy solution to that. Okay? All right, there you go. So let's go ahead. King h1. If they play knight g4, the easy solution is queen e1. Queen e1. And why? Okay, they played bishop c5 first. Interesting. So if they would have played knight here, we have to obviously avoid the fork. That would be bad. But queen e1 controls the square. And then we're just threatening to chase the knight away and it has to leave. Now, what would have been interesting is if they played knight g4 first, I played queen e1, and then they went bishop c5 to add a defender to this square. Then I think I might have played knight a4 to force the issue on these pieces. And if they go with a check... Yeah, I'm actually wondering, could I take? Wow, what is going on there? They have 2 bishops and a rook, and I have 3 pieces and a rook. So yeah, I'd be up a piece in that situation, I think. I think we could have gotten away with that. But bishop c5, I'm not going to wait around until this happens, right? Because if you wait around and let them build up an attack like this, you could get into problems. So what's the easiest thing to do? Knight a4. Force the issue, get rid of that bishop right away that's kind of causing you some problems, and then continue on with the game. Okay, so they have to move their queen. We take, they take, and then it gives me time to deal with this. Probably queen e2, queen e1 or queen e2 is what I'm going to do to defend the pawn. Okay, there we go. Let's take the bishop. They're going to take back, and I think I'm going to go with queen e2, although... Okay, so here's the thing. Queen e1 is normally where I would go with my queen in the Grand Prix. Why? Because I want to come over here on the king side and attack when they castle, if they castle. But in this case, I like the fact that queen e2 is lining up on this pawn, which might be useful. Now, that being said, is it really that useful? I don't know. Is it really that important? I don't know. Maybe queen e1 is fine, and then we could come over here. Okay, we'll go queen e1. I'm not sure. They both are probably about the same. I don't think it's a huge difference one way or the other, but I am going to keep my options open in case black castles here. Okay, they go bishop d7. I am thinking of playing the move d4. Now, they can't take because of this, but they could en passant me, and then I take back. But the nice thing about that position is that my bishop is now ready to come out. My rook is ready to come over here. They haven't castled just yet, so I don't think it makes sense to start trying to attack because I don't know where their king is going to be. So yeah, let's play d4. And we'll see if our opponent knows the special move en passant. What do you guys think? Do they know it? Do they know it? Oh, I guess not. I think it would have been a good move, but they didn't play it. Okay, so let's see. Maybe they want to go here. That's not really a big deal because my knight's defending it. So I don't think we need to really panic about that. I think... What's the most important priority for me right now? I think getting this bishop into the game. I really think getting this bishop into the game. So let's think about that. Where would I like that bishop to be? This diagonal looks pretty good. This diagonal maybe could be good. I don't know where the king is going, but I'm kind of leaning towards b3. And why b3? Because once I do that, it's going to allow me to go here or here. It's going to get rid of this annoying pawn, probably, and probably at the same time open up my rook. I think I'm going to get a lot of things from that. Let's do it. Yes, I'm letting my opponent undouble their pawns, but the things that I'm getting in return, I think, are more valuable. And they play h6. Okay, that seems weird. And I guess I'm just going to take the free pawn. I don't know if this is some elaborate plan to attack me. Okay, that's exactly what it is. So they're hoping that I take and then maybe blunder this and get checkmated or something. The thing is, what's the thing? The thing is, there's a couple of ways we could do this. We could take and take with the bishop. So we leave our knight defending. And then even if they jump in with their knight, we probably can just add a defender, for example, queen g3, and I think we're just fine, and we got a bunch of pawns. The other thing, if I don't want to worry about that, remember what I said about the pawns blocking the pieces? I could just leave the pawns. So how would I leave the pawns? I would push by. And if they take me, I take them. Okay, fine. That looks good for me. I get a check on the king. If they don't take me, fine. I'm going to push and push. So which one's better? I don't know. Maybe Stockfish would take it. But if you're, if you don't like being attacked and you're afraid you're going to like make a mistake or something, like don't even worry about it. Just push by, right? I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to push by. I'm not going to even have to calculate stuff like that where I might end up getting checkmated from this queen and rook battery. I'm just going to say, no, I'm not going to let you do that. Okay, so they finally castle. And in an effort to keep this bishop totally out of the game, I'm going to play the move e5 and f6. And what I'm saying is, once these pawns are locked like this bishop's never going to see the light of day, especially if I get c5 in. Okay, the only way is if they play c5 next move and it somehow comes here. But I don't know. That almost looks like I might be able to play d5 there and still... Wow, g4. I was not expecting that move. So first things first, if we take, it's just like a trade. I don't think I want to make that trade. I think I'm going to move this knight. Yeah, I think I'm going to move the knight because I want to make sure that they move their knight and then I can play f6. And so the only way to make sure that that happens is probably by moving this. Of course, they could try to get fancy with g3 and checkmate me, but I could either just take it or maybe just play h3 myself. Again, the idea is the same. We don't want to trade too many of these pawns because as long as there's pawns there, it just stops the big pieces from getting to our king, right? So I'm really eyeing this bishop, guys, because if we can get f6 in here, black is just done. Let's do it. There we go. Look at how bad the bishop is. Nope. 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 Probably their best move is something like c5 to try to get it here. But like I said, I think I would just push. Takes. And now I have these very dangerous pawns. I can even play c4 to support it. So however you look at it, I think... Okay. I don't know what that's about. But it does allow me to play c5. And I think I will. Now, you could make the argument that maybe I shouldn't. And I should get my bishop in there. Yeah, in fact, that might even be more powerful. I understand that it does allow c5, though. Maybe not. But we don't want to let their bishop come. Because if this bishop does somehow land on c6, it opens up the rook. I have to worry about things like this and checkmates over here. And the knight's coming in. Like, that could be actually kind of dangerous. So what we're going to do is make sure that never happens. We're going to make sure that this bishop never can do anything to impact the game. Okay, queen g6. I don't really think our opponent knows what's going on. They're just kind of playing random moves, it looks like. I'm going to play knight e4. Shuts down any attack from the queen and also sets up for my knight to go to this amazing square on d6. And the question is, do I want to do it now? I think I'm going to play rook b1 first. And what am I setting up? Well, I'm setting up this and this. Maybe even the queen is about to come over as well. So yeah, I mean, when you're playing a position like this, you want to be identifying how serious is their attack. I don't think it's very serious, and here's why. This is an interesting little tidbit. When you have two pawns like this and two pawns like this, usually, if you don't want to get attacked, whenever they push, you push the other one. And you end up just locking up the pawns completely. If they push here, you push the other one. Now, in this case, it opens up my king a little bit. But because that bishop is no chance of getting there, the only thing that we have to worry about is the queen. And I've got that defended, and I'm fine. So it's not a big deal. But as long as you can identify that, it's very difficult for black to attack me if I remember that principle. So with that in mind, I probably am going to just play knight to d6. Just keep going with my attack, right? Attacking on b7 now. And I guess bishop c8. I wonder if I can go queen b4 and just set up checkmate threat, even just trading, and then the queen could come in. So we definitely looks like queen b4 is going to be the move here. And like h3, g3, I do have to watch out for this, right? Because that could be a checkmate, but as long as I'm controlling that square with my knight, I'm good. Okay? Okay, so they go the other way, and it's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to push by, and now I feel really safe. I feel really safe. I don't see how they're going to do anything. Maybe there's a sacrifice that we have to watch out for. But if I just trade this bishop for this knight, I don't see how they're going to get through. And the bishop's not really doing anything anyway, so let's go ahead and make the trade. And of course, I probably could have thrown this move in first, and maybe I should have, but I don't see how that it's going anywhere. But I think now's the time. So we take that with check, and then... Okay, what should I do, guys? One, two, three, 4, 5. So this is really interesting, actually. This is really interesting. There is a forced checkmate where I sacrifice my rook, and it's with checks. Check, 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 check. But I think it's 5 moves long. 1, 2. He goes here. Oh, no, it's not. It's 3 moves long. Actually, that's just checkmate. That's 3 moves. Okay, so that's 3 moves. I'm pretty sure it's actually faster, though, if I just go queen a5 here. So this is one of those where, okay, not going with the forcing checkmate, not going with the forcing checks actually is faster because you can't stop this. So we'll do that. But if you saw this one, check, and then the other rook comes over, that's totally fine as well. They both get the job done. This one is 1 move faster. But you can see what I was talking about. Like, there is no attack here from our opponent at all because they can't get through their own pawns, right? So next move is checkmate. They can't defend it with any of their pieces. They can't put me in check to delay the game. They can't, even pushing it forward doesn't help. It's still checkmate. And so we'll see if they're going to resign or let the time run out. And I'm trying to see if I have time for one more game or not. It depends on if they're going to resign here or if they're going to let the time run out. If they let the time run out, I'll probably stop. Otherwise, we might be able to play one last game. Okay, so they they tried to lure my queen away, but I'm not going to go for it. I'm going to go for the checkmate instead. Okay, let me update the wins, and I think we'll try to do one last game. Game review. All right, so 71. I don't know why the accuracy was quite that low, but you could see that it never really got away from us. We didn't make any big blunders. It was kind of going in our favor the whole time, so that's fine. All right, let's go for the last game here, guys. Let me turn that off. All right, we are black. Okay, let's try it again. We'll play knight f6, and we'll see if they play c4, if we can play the Budapest Gambit. c4, e5 is what we are going for. Very tricky line against d4. The problem with it is that they have to play c4. Aha! Okay, there you go. Budapest Gambit. I'm very happy to see that. So it's just like the Tennyson Gambit, except they have this free move since they're white, right? But it turns out that move doesn't actually help them a ton. All right? And so you might get to see some of the same ideas. Remember when we sacrificed the pawn before and we brought our knight over? And then they defended with the f-pawn? And we brought our bishop out and we ended up trapping their queen? You guys remember that? Same kind of a deal, except with c4. So yeah, it looks like we surprised them. Let's see what they're going to do, if they're going to take it or not. Dub 2000 is thinking. Dub 2000. Okay, so they don't want to take the pawn, which is a little bit sad, but okay, they don't have to. You can't force anybody to take it. So I'll go ahead and make a trade. They take back, and I think we will play the move d5 here. And what I'm trying to do is create an isolated pawn on d4. If I'm able to take here, you will notice I have 3 pawns. I have 3 pawns all connected. Everybody's connected. Yeah. And now they have double isolated pawns. Okay. Generally, that's a good thing. So let's take with the queen. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to get the queen out. And yes, there's knight c3, but I'm planning on playing bishop to b4 to pin it. Okay. And what I'm doing is I'm playing very quick, rapid developing moves, and I'm getting ready to castle quickly. And if I can get castled before my opponent and get a rook here, they're going to be in trouble. But like I was saying, this is the isolated pawn that we created. It's generally a weakness and a target. Now, if they play bishop d2, okay, I could take. They take back, but do I have a better move? I think so, because their pawn is now undefended. So it looks like a free pawn to me. But we'll take that. And you could see how the isolated pawn is a weakness, and already on move 7, we already won a pawn, right? So, and this d5 is an easy way to do that. Now, some people are afraid of c5. It's not a big deal. If they play c5, you play bishop e7, you castle, you bring out your bishop, you bring out your knight, no problem. And if you're worried about that pawn, you can always play b6 and attack it. If they try to defend, you can always play a5 and attack it. And you just keep attacking, and you just trade off a bunch of stuff, and it opens things up, and you're fine. Like, there's no reason to be scared about that. But now we just won the pawn. We have a great position. We're going to castle, bring the rook over, and I think white's going to be in trouble. That's a good move. That's a good move because they're hitting my queen with tempo, and I don't have time to castle, right? So the question is, where do we put the queen? Well, I'd like to check them maybe, but we can't. Everything is defended. So let's see, d6. We just have to be careful that we don't get attacked by the knight in a bad way. So let's see, d6, knight b5, we could trade. I think we would be okay there. Yeah, let's do it. You just have to kind of plan ahead, basically, because you know you might get attacked again, so you just plan ahead. Do you have a good solution? I think I have a good solution, like queen e7, trade first, maybe then queen e7 and castles, something like that. It's always a risk when you take a pawn. You're going to be on the defensive a little bit, usually, because you wasted time taking that pawn. Right? You wasted a move taking the pawn. They got a free move with their knight, and I had to waste another move. So essentially, you waste 2 moves to get the free pawn. So you're going to be playing a little bit of defense after that happens. That's okay. That's part of the deal. As long as you weren't like mega behind in development, you can usually do that and be okay. And I wasn't behind in development, right? In fact, I was kind of ahead. I had 2 pieces out. I'm almost ready to castle. And so I felt like, okay, I can get away with taking this pawn. Okay, so they're going to bring the bishop out most likely and try to castle. We're going to castle. Yep, okay. Let's check for tactics. I don't see anything. Okay, now I feel good about my king. Nice and safe. I think they're going to castle as well. Very good. Let's play knight c6. I like that this is defended. The bishop is already kind of controlling some squares, and so it makes sense to get the knight out first to really just get some control in the center, and then we'll figure out where the bishop goes, and then we'll bring our rooks to the center, and then trading pieces, remember, is going to be good for me. Why? Because I am up that extra pawn. So if you imagine if all the major pieces like queens, rooks, knights, and bishops were traded from the board, I would have a winning endgame because of my 3 pawns against 2. Okay? And so I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind and know that like trading is good. Trading is totally fine. Let's go bishop f5. Just trying to find a nice square that controls a lot of the board. I think that one does the trick. I really would like to get this rook lined up on my opponent's queen as fast as possible. So that's what we're looking to do next. Okay, knight b5. That's actually a pretty good move because it kind of is hitting multiple things. Now, this is already defended, so it's not a big deal if my queen has to leave. Let's see. What if I go here and they take and I take and they take and I take? Aha, they might actually win a pawn here. So let's see if we can prevent that somehow. It's actually a much better move than I realized. Yeah, because if I end up losing this pawn, then that would obviously not be good. So I'm trying to figure out, can I save the pawn? Yeah, I think we should be able to. Let's see. Takes. Okay, so I think we should be able to save it. I'm gonna go here, and the reason I think we should be able to save it is because takes, I can take, and then the only way they can take this, right, is if they trade my queen, because my queen's defending it. So for example, takes. Let's say I take with something. They take my pawn. Okay. It looks like I'm going to have a fork at the end of everything is what I'm trying to say. There's going to be a bunch of stuff that might potentially happen, but it looks like I'm going to have a fork. Now, that being said, this is hitting my rook. If they play rook c1, maybe it doesn't work. Yeah, this is actually interesting. So I think I'm going to take with the knight. I want to leave the bishop here because I want that control. So the question is, yeah, this is very interesting. So, okay, if they take here, we have some things to talk about. Just because I can get a fork doesn't really matter because they're going to be able to just get the rook first, right? So that would just be a trade, which we don't want. I'm going to go here. Now, if they move this rook, we're able to get a pawn that way. The question really is, what if they move this rook, right? And I am wondering if I can play the move knight c2. This is what's called a... they didn't do it. This is what's called... What is it called? My brain isn't working. I think is it an interference tactic? Where you're interfering with the ability of a piece to defend. I think it's interference. So you block. He has to save his rook. And then I just take the knight. So I think we could have gotten away with that. Instead, he goes here, but this is going to allow me a nice fork. And there is knight d6, but I think we can play rook c5 and defend. Very tricky position. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I totally underestimated how tricky it was going to get after knight b5. So good job by the opponent for going for this. Yeah, they're going for it. Wow. So yeah, we're going to go rook c5. We have to defend both of these things, and the only way that I see to do it is to go here. But I'm keeping that fork, so at some point, if this knight stops bothering me, I will be taking one of these rooks. Now, they also can take on b7. I just noticed that as well. Wow. Yeah, that was smart by our opponent. That was pretty smart. So I guess we have to actually go rook d5. Yeah, rook d5. Okay, if we go rook b5, the problem is the knight's going to go back. Oh, no, but then... No, I can't do that because I lose this. Yeah, that's fascinating. I guess we have to go rook d5, but then there's bishop c4. No, now he goes... Oh, wow. Oh, that's a fantastic move. He's saying, if you take me, I'm going to take you. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's amazing, actually. Dude. Oh, no, it's not. It's defended, right? Wait, no. Wait, hold on. He wants to... Oh, hold on. I'm actually confused, guys. Yeah, no, I think because we have this in-between move, we're fine. But it's very, very tricky by the opponent. Okay, we're going to take it. Whew. So, all right. I think what's going to happen is after they take me, before I take here, I'm going to throw in this in-between move so my knight doesn't end up getting captured. Okay, so we do that with check. Then we take it, and we come out up some material. Okay. That was mind-bogglingly complicated, that series. I mean, all of that was like connected. Guys, this is move 21, and it all started really on move 12. So like in a legit game between like grandmasters, you would kind of have to calculate all of this stuff ahead of time, which is, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot because there's all different moves all along the way that could have been played. Wow. Really nice job by the opponent coming up with some tactics there. So what I'm going to do now is play g6. I really like this move because it attacks the knight. It gives my king an entry into the game. And it's on a light square, so it sort of limits some of the effectiveness of the bishop. Okay, and if they put me in check, I'm just going to run my king out to the center. Also, of course, I'm going to be using my rook at some point. This is defended, so that's nice. I have to be careful for b4. But on b4, I could play like knight d3, and we end up just getting a trade. Okay, they don't want to get back rank mated, so that's pretty smart. Okay, I'll show you guys something. So when you have a knight on a pretty good square and you don't want it to get chased away, like in this case, stopping the pawn that would chase it away is a lot of times a good strategy. So that's what I'm going to do here. And if they play a3 to try to play b4, you guys know what I would do, right? I would push it again. Because en passant. So if I push it again and they play b4, en passant, I take the pawn and I'm gone. I got a free pass pawn. So like, if they don't do that, they go for this instead. And I need to get the rook into the game. The question is how? Let's go here. Because I'd like to come down check, forcing the king away. If you can force your opponent's king away from the action, yeah, which I'm going to be able to do, that's probably a good decision. So let's do it. Now the king is way over there. And I have a fork. We can win a pawn, although this is going to be captured. So I think instead I will just go here. And if they push, I'll go here. Yep. And I'm just hunting. I'm just hunting the pawns. The rook is so powerful, right? At the end of the game, you just try to activate it. You keep hunting pawns, and eventually you're going to win one like this. And once we get a passed pawn, we push it, we get a queen, and we win. All right, that's the plan. I don't really see much that white can do. The rook is just much more powerful than the bishop, right? So, okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and attack the pawn again. Okay, I could just trade, and you'll notice that if I take, they don't actually have time to take this because their knight is hanging. And if they trade first, then my rook defends the pawn. So that works out nice tactically for me. And yes, now we just push the pawn. We just get a queen. There's not going to be a way for the bishop to stop us. Let's just defend and threaten to push. Dub 2000. Very tricky in the middle game, though. I will say that was... I had no idea that knight b5 was going to lead to the complications. Where was it at? I had no idea that... no, not there. That knight b5 was going to lead to all that stuff. And that was quite a move. They play f4. All right. I don't even need to take it. I just want to get a queen. That's the fastest way. So we push. Bishop can't stop me. Yeah, they do resign. Okay. Let's check the game review. And I do want to make an announcement, guys. We have our Black Friday sale for my Breaking 1500 course. I think it should be live. I'm recording this video a little bit ahead of time, but it should be live by the time you actually watch this video. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that. Link's going to be in the description. We've had some amazing success stories from people who have gained lots of points just by following the curriculum in Breaking 1500. And so I think if you enjoy these rating climbs, you will enjoy Breaking 1500 a lot. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. We had a nice 91 accuracy there. Opponent played well, 81.4, very good from the opponent. But yeah, got the win, and I will see you guys next time. Stay sharp, play smart, take care.